What is figurative language? Figurative language, also known as figures of speech, is language in which words are used in a non-literal way in order to show you things in a different way or to get you to think about things in a different way or for special effect. The key word here is non-literal, meaning these figures of speech do not use language in the literal way. There are several types of figures of speech. There are similes, metaphors, idioms, personification, puns, metonymy, synecdoche, paraprostokian, imagery, hyperbole, allusions, oxymoron, and many, many more. Now, if you're looking at these and saying, whoa, these are really big words, I don't know what they mean. Well, you don't have to know what they mean right now. I have videos on a lot of these. But the idea is, when we look at an example for each one, they use language in non-literal ways. So, for example, a simile, which is a figure of speech that compares two unlike objects. Here's an example. That kid is as strong as a dinosaur. It's comparing the kid with a dinosaur, his strength. It doesn't mean the kid is a dinosaur. That would be the literal meaning. But it's saying the kid is really strong. And that's the whole point. It uses that comparison, the kid is as strong as a dinosaur, in a non-literal way to get you to think about the kid in a different way, saying this kid is unusually strong. Metaphor is another type of figure of speech, but unlike simile, it does not compare two objects. It turns one object into another. And how does it do this? It does it by describing the one object using words and phrases that describe another object. So if I say my brother growled at me when I tried to wake him up, the word growled describes a dog or a similar type of creature that makes growling noises. So by using that word to describe my brother, I've turned my brother into a dog. Idioms. Idiom is a figure of speech which is really an expression. So common expressions that we use in language. So if I say it is raining cats and dogs outside, I mean it's raining really heavily outside. I certainly don't mean this is going on. That would just be weird. Personification is a figure of speech where one object that's not living is turned into a human. And this is done in a similar way to metaphors by describing that non-living object using a verb or other words like waits here, time waits for no one, and that verb describes a person, an impatient person. So time is being turned into an impatient person here. So time waits for no one, time is being turned into a person. Or puns. Here's an example. Where do polar bears vote? The North Pole. So when you hear it, pole sounds like North Pole, where Santa Claus lives, or all these creatures that live in snow live. So you hear pole, oh, polar bears, they live out there. Oh, but also pole, like where they vote. Oh, that's funny. North Pole. That is a pun. Metonymy is a figure of speech where you take one word that's closely associated with another word and use that word instead of the other word. So for example, if I say Hollywood has been making some very expensive movies recently, well, not all movies are made in Hollywood, but Hollywood is closely associated with the entire film industry. So I take the word Hollywood, which is closely associated with the film industry, and I use that word instead. I replace film industry and put Hollywood. So instead of saying the film industry has been making some very expensive movies recently, I say Hollywood has been making some very expensive movies recently. Again, it's not literal. I don't mean it was produced in Hollywood. I mean the film industry made it. Synecdoche. Synecdoche is a figure of speech where a part describes the whole. So if I say I need 4 hands to help me move the table, I don't mean I need a hand. I mean I need help. So here, hand is a part of people. So I need 4 people to help me move the table. And the meaning is I need help. So again, it's not literal. Figures of speech are a non-literal way of using language to make you think in a different way or for special effect. So for example, paraprostokian has an effect. Let me illustrate. If I say when I was 10, my family moved to Downers Grove, Illinois, you understand this, that I moved when I was 10 years old with my family. But the whole point of paraprostokian is when I complete the statement, you understand what you see right now in a very different way. So if I say, when I was 12, I found them. Oh, now I didn't move. I was abandoned when I was 10 years old, and 2 years later I was able to reunite with my family. So that is a figure of speech, paraprosdokian. Imagery. Imagery is a figure of speech when you describe an object or many objects using sensory language. So if I say the bright golden sun shone on the warm sandy beach, bright and golden, those are words that describe things we see. They appeal to our sense of seeing. Warm and sandy, those are words that appeal to our sense of feeling. So imagery is used for special effect, which is to describe a scene for us in a way that we could almost sense it. Next, we have hyperbole. Hyperbole is a figure of speech where we over-exaggerate something to make a point. So if I say my parents are going to kill me, a very common hyperbole with children, the point is they're not really going to kill me. That would be the literal meaning. The non-literal meaning, the special meaning, is that my parents are really gonna punish me. That's the hyperbole. That's why it's a figure of speech. Another types of figures of speech are allusions. Allusions are indirect references. So if I say when I get angry, I can turn into a big green rage monster, I'm indirectly referring to the Hulk. And this is used for special effect. It means I can get very violent when I'm angry. An oxymoron. Oxymoron is a figure of speech where a contradictory statement is made to try to create a special effect. So here's a saying by Charles Lamb. He says, I like a smuggler. He is the only honest thief. Well, thieves by definition are not honest. This can't be literal. But he's trying to point out something about all thieves. He likes smugglers. No other type of thief. Smugglers being a very specific type of thief that tries to move certain objects between borders of countries, not like a common liquor store thief or something like that. So we looked at many different types of figures of speech. The one common thing between all of them is that language is used in a non-literal way, either to make us think about something in a different way or to create a special effect. That's the whole point. Now, why do we use figures of speech? It's for several reasons. Number one, it is to get us to think about something in a new way, as you saw many of these did. And it helps you imagine. And it can involve you in a scene or story, especially if a lot of imagery is being used in a beautiful place, like a beach. When we're reading a story, that puts us in the story. It gets us involved. Or it can make us laugh or cry. It can make us smile. And it can make us stop and focus, or throw us off. And it can help us understand new ideas. And definitely, it can make things beautiful. Trivia. Figures of speech, humans use them naturally. They are not taught figures of speech. Now, they can be taught to use them often and to polish their ability with them, but figures of speech come naturally to humans. They appear in the most ancient writings, from poetry to regular books, all the way up to today, and we use them to make conversations and discussions more interesting, lively, and memorable. You should try using them. You may inspire others. You can click here to go to my playlist on figurative language. Thanks for watching. Until next time.